All right, let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 4. Or sorry, game number 3 rather, of your series of Beastyqt against TheViper. Spawning in, over on the right-hand side of the map, in the color red, playing as the English. Once again, it is the one, the only, TheViper.
I love that you always go for Viper as the introductions. I wonder why. And boy, oh boy, am I seeing a barracks once again. This time around, it is going to be against a civilization that's not mining gold that frequently in Dark Age, unless you go for that Imperial Officer at the beginning. And in game number 1, we saw a similar approach from Viper. That time around, Beasty expected this one as he's spawning in blue on the left side with the Chinese. But this time around, Beasty doesn't expect this one because you don't generally open men-at-arms to deny the gold against the Chinese unless you're expecting the Chinese player to go for that Imperial Officer that now costs gold.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But yeah, now we see the men-at-arms coming out. And yeah, this is very curious. I love that Viper is doing this in such early stages, or such, I guess you could say, late stages of this tournament. Going for the early men-at-arms, just the single men-at-arms going to be coming out, denying the gold completely. Villagers just heading back on in. And I don't think Beastyqt expected this. We can see it's a minute 50. Those villagers had collected 6 gold. And now Beastyqt going to be heading back to the drawing board and saying, how the hell am I going to get more gold in? Because all of my gold's stuck in the middle of the map. Look at that, Lidakor.
Worse, it's even worse. Look at the voot for him. He spent it on a gold mine or a mining camp that's going to be completely useless right now. Sure enough, he can start collecting that tax from the mill, but that's a disaster. And that's basically the complete and perfect representation of the balance changes with these two civilizations going into this patch. You saw the Chinese having the Imperial Officer now cost 50 gold and 100 food instead of 150 food. That used to be the case. And the English training the man-at-arms faster. That is the reason why Viper can really deny this gold over here, because Beasty has to go for gold if he goes for Imperial Officer at the beginning.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's such a difficult spot for him now. So he's got a couple of options when it comes to gold. So the first option is going to be that he just looks to try and take this gold mine back. It's going to be difficult. It probably means he needs to get a second scout out, might need to bring some villagers that have killed sheep, something like that, to try and take back this gold mine. Now, the second option is that he looks for an alternative gold mine. Now, we take a look on the minimap, and you can see that the gold mines for Viper, unfortunately, are both in the same direction. But it does look like he's going to be going for that first option here, bringing out a couple of those villagers. Scout going to be coming out as well. Second scout going to be making its way out as well with a couple of sheep here, and an outpost comes down. Viper's going to be very happy with this, forcing an outpost out from his opponent here, as well as a lot of idle villager time.
Ton of idle villager time. Look at the gold count for Beasty. He's being bottlenecked seriously by that gold, and that is going to delay his feudal age quite substantially. You see the tower goes up. It looks like the men-at-arms will be mostly dealt with, so he's going to get that gold mine back. But Viper, he has to be happy with this start over here. He was able to cause so much chaos inside the opponent's base, force a defensive tower, and you see that Beasty hasn't even dropped the lumber camp just yet. In fact, he consumed his straggler trees without doing so. So now accessing wood is going to be a bit of a problem over here for Beasty. Oh boy, so much chaos. It looks like the hero men-at-arms will make it back home over here. This is the time where you drop the Abbey of the Kings to heal it back up, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, surely, Viper, you see that your men-at-arms has got 5 health left. Are you going to go for an Abbey of Kings to heal it back? But unfortunately, it looks like Viper wants to win the game, so he's going to be going for that other landmark that the English make. And poor Men-at-Arms going to be losing his life as a result, and there he goes. A valiant effort, though. A valiant effort.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that man-at-arms, one of the things I want to talk about is the huge potential that it gives you. Because not only do you deny that gold and subsequently delay your enemy, you can see this landmark coming out at 4 minutes 40 for Beastyqt, so a bit of a delay on this. So not only do you do that, but in addition to that, you also force out an outpost from your enemy. And keep in mind, he had to chop that 100 wood to drop that outpost. And he did that on straggler trees because he had already dropped it down the wood in the mining camp. So it really just puts him behind a significant amount now.
And you see, one of the scouts here for Beasty is weak over here. That was damaged by the man-at-arms, and this is a different type of concern here for Beasty. You see, if Viper can find a way to delay this Barbican, he might be able to get a longbowman out here before it's completed and completely deny the H-up. I don't think it's going to be in time, but this is what he had on his mind, engaging with those 2 scouts out there. Looks like Beasty is going to pull away those scouts, so the Barbican should go up, but boy oh boy, if Beasty was delayed just a little longer, this could have been a complete disaster for him. So the Barbican is going to be up now, but Viper seems to be much more confident playing in this game number 3.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Viper is looking quite good. He's done a great job at controlling the narrative so far throughout this game and forcing Beastyqt to make things that he didn't want to. But now Viper reaches the feudal age at the same time that Beasty does. A 5-minute 50 age up for both of these players. We see Wheelbarrow coming in for both players at the same time. And already we've got Viper beginning to move to farms. He's shifting villagers off to the wood line. And everything is looking fine and dandy for him. But at the same time, Beastyqt beginning to wall up towards that north side. He's walled in both of his hunts. And you've got to appreciate the fact that both of his hunts have spawned in on the lower ground. It's going to help him out a huge amount when it comes to just gathering up the food. As the Chinese, typically you want to try and get as much food as possible. But the question is, where does Beastyqt go from here when it comes to his decision making? Does he look to go into a dynasty? And if so, is he going to be making Chokunu? Because I tell you what, against the English, doesn't seem to work.
Yeah, it is a little questionable to go for the Chukanu. I think Dynasty should definitely be on the horizon for him, especially because he has committed a lot of effort into defending that gold mine, so it seems a little more reasonable for him to boost his villager production by going for Dynasty rather than going for a second town center first. Indeed, here comes that Imperial Academy, and I think that is going to boost the tax income from that stone mine as well. The placement implies that we could see stone being mined here by Beasty soon, and indeed, he's going to start mining stone, so you get the feel that it's going to be just 2 town centers Dynasty here.
Yeah, so a 2 town center Song Dynasty play. In this position, you got to... I guess, you know what? I've actually seen quite a few games from Beasty in this matchup where he goes for a 2 town center Song Dynasty into Fast Castle for a Nest of Bees. And it doesn't always work, I'll say that much. But now look at the walls coming up for Beasty. The difficult thing that he's going to have to deal with is that he doesn't really have access to gold. If he loses that gold, he's going to be struggling. So it's important that he looks to try and secure that up, whether he looks to get hand cannon slits on that outpost, try and defend this a little bit more. But you can see that he's managed to get up a good segment of that wall, at least stop any potential run bys coming through as a stable comes down for him.
Yeah, Stable is now coming out. He needs to contest the map control a tiny bit because you don't really want to surrender the entire map to the English because, as you see, Viper is crawling up with towers. If he starts fortifying the middle, it's going to be very difficult for Beast to push him away from there. In fact, it would be a somewhat crazy idea, but not impossible from Viper, to go for the white tower in the middle and just have that keep, protect that central sacred site, cap the early sacred sites, and force Beasty to make a move. That would be a bit of a cheesy way to play this one, but I wouldn't be necessarily against it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. One of the things that we haven't really seen come out from English is 2 town center into fast White Castle. And I think that it would actually work quite effectively on this map. Did I say White Castle, White Tower? I think White Tower. White Castle is a hamburger place that you can go to in the United States. Equally delicious, equally as strong. Yeah, I think that it could definitely work out quite effectively on a map like this where you're looking to try and take control of one specific sacred site.
I think the key thing here is that Viper knows that he can't really match up against 2 town center Song Dynasty. If he goes for the King's Palace over here, he is going to have a slightly lower villager gap to overcome than in the case of going for a White Tower, let's say. But no matter what he does, he's going to be behind in villagers. So the question becomes, how is he going to be able to compensate for that? The problem that he's facing right now is that there are a couple of horsemen out there, so he can't just drop that White Tower in the middle. Beasty now at 1 stone. I think the second town center isn't just now being dropped, is it? Or is he going for emplacements?
I think it might have been a hand cannon slit in placement because we can see that he's no longer gathering any stone whatsoever. So it does. Yeah, is it? It must have been a hand. Yeah.
It's 1 TC Song Dynasty then.
So what is he doing with all this wood? Because he's got a whole bunch of wood banked up at the moment. He's got a couple of villagers still on there. So maybe he just gathered it up and changed his mind. Maybe realized that 2 town center wasn't the play. It hadn't worked out in the past for him, but Viper looking to go up for that fast castle. You can see he's got 400 gold, almost 400 gold in the bank at this point in time. More than 1,000 food ready to go. So he is looking to get up to that castle age. Beasty going to be doing the same thing, but making the smart decision and not going for that second town center.
Yeah, now, given Viper's army right now and its sort of lack of ability to try and contest that middle area against the horsemen, I would think it's just going to be the King's Palace over here for Viper, so likely no White Tower, but honestly, I think that would be the best move that Viper could make right now, especially because Beasty is not booming like crazy either. Beasty himself is going into Castle Age with what I assume is going to be the Clock Tower for him. And for Viper, he's just now going into Castle, and the White Tower it is, but it's not directly in the middle, so it's more like just a staging ground for a future castle.
Weird, champ. I don't know how I feel about this. Yeah, White Castle just being used as a staging ground, not going particularly aggressive with it. I guess, I mean, sure. But at the same time, you've got to really wonder what's the purpose of it then, because it's not sure. It acts as like a de facto siege workshop, a de facto archery range. You got a stable as well as a barracks that are in there, so it can make all the units. But at the same time, you know, is it really achieving much there?
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that one. I mean, it wasn't really necessary over there straight away. And, like, if he wants to play a longer game, like, let's say, 25, 30 minutes, then the King's Palace is actually worth it a little bit more. Like, if he goes for a the White Palace, or the White Tower, I think it is more reasonable to try to play a lot more aggressive game. You see, Spearmen are now coming out, so if maybe he waited with this a little bit, or he just had the Spearmen out a little faster, he maybe could have dropped it in the middle. I don't think it's a terrible White Tower, but as you pointed out, it could have been optimized a little bit more here.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Maybe he was just scared of what Beasty was up to, because we did see Beasty reach Castle Age during that time. So I suspect if Beasty had reached Castle a little bit before then he may have actually looked to put it up a bit more aggressively. But now Viper, realizing his mistake, he's going to look to put outposts up in the center of the map. We see that Beastyqt is still sitting behind on one town center at this point in time. But keep in mind, he's got that Song Dynasty. Oh, he's going heavy on
stone income. He's got like 10 villagers out there supervising it. He wants a castle. And Chinese castles are no joke. Those hand cannon slits will melt rams even. Probably the strongest keep in the entire game. And he's going to have that up very soon. And this is where the lack of positioning on the White Tower, or more likely that unfortunate positioning on the White Tower, could backfire, because you can't prevent Beasty from dropping a keep in the middle. And you're going to have a tower there, sure thing, but Chinese build so fast. I think Beasty could get a castle up there if he wanted to.
But this is the good thing about the position here for Viper. Even if Beasty goes for a castle on top of that hill, when you can see he's pulling villagers right now, he is intent on getting a castle on top of this hill, that because Viper has gone for the White Tower, it means that he's not going to need to invest in a siege workshop to make trebuchets, which means he's going to be getting great value out of that White Tower. A lot of people would look at the White Tower and think, you know what, it's not that impressive of a landmark, but you're really taking it to the next level if you're actually able to use it for this purpose, because it means that you're not going to have to make that siege workshop, which means you're not going to have to invest the resources into it for it to be a potential gamble. And so now Viper going to be spotting out that keep, going to be coming down on this sacred site. He's not going to be able to capture it, but I do expect that we'll see that Springald after that is made, that we will potentially see a trebuchet come out for him.
Yeah, that's a great point indeed. It acts as a siege workshop, it also acts as a stable out there, so there is some versatility involved with Viper now with that White Tower up there at the safe position. And you see the castle does go up, and I see a tower as well here for Beasty for some extra vision. I would think that he's going to try and take down that outpost. In fact, he's got the villagers for this one, and no one is garrisoned in that tower, no arrow slits. The monk will actually start capping that sacred site, because it looks like no one really cares from Viper's side about that one.
Yeah, now we see the villagers moving up to siege down the Springald. Look out, little Springald. It is too many villagers for you, my friend. And you can see them throwing out their torches in fierce of opposition to any Springalds on this platform. And indeed, they do take a few losses as a consequence. 5 villagers going down there. You got to wonder if it was worth it, Beasty. I kind of feel like it wasn't, but I guess you weren't expecting to see the composition that you did. But now we see a couple of horsemen out on top of this hill. Looks like the stone tower going to be coming out. The monk, by the way, was prevented from capturing the sacred site. You can see that it's gone back inside the keep here, but now going to be coming back out once again. It's losing its life. He's not going to be able to hold it, unfortunately, and a trebuchet does come out. Viper also making a second trebuchet, and this is why he named his Smurf account Trebuchet. He loves to make trebuchets. It's his thing. It's totally his thing.
Oh man, I mean, losing all those villagers here for Beasty, he was counting on that monk capturing the sacred site, but he wasn't able to. The longbows came in here in numbers, and now I got a stone tower over there. Stone tower as well for Beasty, Nest of Beasts setting up as well. Right now, there is the clock tower as well for Beasty, so just as much as Viper can field his own trebuchets, Beasty can do that as well. So far though, no trebuchet from him, whereas on the other side, Viper is now getting that keep up, and we sort of have this face-off, or just stalemate in the middle as well, once again, so... who knows? Another wonder, maybe?
Who knows? Another wonder. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't put it past Beasty. But now that network, that nest of Beasty coming out quite strong.
The
nest of Beasty, yes. Going to be very safe underneath that keep, but you got to be wondering, how is he going to do up against all the trebuchets that are beginning to build? And now we see the tower crawl. This is what I love to see coming out. We have got the trebuchets sitting safely behind this castle. There is no way Springlords are going to be able to come in here and deny these trebuchets. And as a result, it means Viper is going to be able to clear up a position on the top of this this plateau, and will continue to push forward with further keeps, with further trebuchets, as we see more and more units beginning to build up for him behind this keep.
The concern here for Beasty is that he's doing the exact same thing that his opponent is doing, but right now Viper is one step ahead. You see, there is going to be the network of Citadels bonus coming in here for Viper. He already has multiple trebuchets up, and he's going to start shelling that castle out there. And the thing is that if Beasty wanted to, in theory, he could go for like a Lancer counterattack, break through on the palisades on the south, and try to hit Viper's eco, but he's nowhere close to even setting up anything for that. So the concern for him right now is that he's doing the same thing as Viper, but Viper is one step ahead. And it is just difficult right now for Beasty to do anything here to try and stop this one.
Yeah, and we can see now Beasty going to be turning his attention towards that Springald. You saw that he actually attacked the ground with his trebuchet and almost hit the Springald, but still those trebs firing off towards the central keeps. Not going to have a lot of luck, though, because you can see Viper's got that extra attack speed. What are they doing? They're just hanging out. What are they doing? Taking a bit of a break, it seems.
Yeah, they don't seem to be very active. Someone's going to miss out on the payday, it seems.
Yeah, Viper are going to have to check in with his trebuchets. They have decided to take a quick little break in this central battlefield. What the heck is? What are they doing? Why aren't they firing?
I think he might have lost vision. That's the only thing I can think about.
Can we take a look from his perspective? Is that the difference between these two? He's still got line of sight.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's a unit line of sight that is. Yeah, you can see he's lost line of sight. So what you can do in this situation is just attack ground. So if you attack ground with your trebuchets, they're just going to keep firing down on that position and be able to take it down. But yeah, trebuchets falling asleep at the wheel.
That's a problem over here because Beasty will be able to repair that castle, and this is buying a lot of time for Beasty. Villager count still dead even between the two players. There's a bit of a concern right now for Beasty that he's gonna have to start his farm transition very soon, and you see his food income isn't spectacular. He's chopping a lot of wood. Viper now moving up to the Springles, though, takes down one.
Oh. Did you see that? The villagers were trying to heal it up. Viper was being so very careful, and he manages to actually take out the Springald of his enemy before the villagers can even get in for the heal. Damn, that was really tight there from Viper. But now, finally going to be turning his attention back towards that keep of his enemy. You can see the trebs just doing so much damage. 3 trebuchets now coming out for Beastyqt.
Yeah, Viper currently is sitting on only 2, but he's got the network of Citadels bonus out there. Just now popped out the 3rd one, and you see that castle is now on fire. The rate of fire on those Springolds is crazy over here for Viper. He's crawling up with the Springolds as well, trying to take down the trebuchets, and I think that castle is barely standing here for Beasty. Indeed, the castle falls, and with that, Viper can start thinking about moving up with those longbows, starting to potentially even take that sacred site.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And he'll be able to push in now very close towards those trebuchets, and it's going to deny any potential attack coming through on those keeps. I think Beastyqt realizes in this position that the trebuchets aren't too long for this world. He's got the outpost up towards the north. It goes down immediately. Those trebs just unfolding on it. And now we see the Springalds looking to get out some shots, but they might be going in for a bit of a Springald kiss, firing over the hill. You can see the longbow is going to be standing here very strong. Nesta B is going to be firing off as well, and everybody beginning to attack each other. But now villagers looking to try and heal up that single Springald that remains, and he does indeed fall back. But yeah, having a bit of a struggle right there in that situation, not having the ability to fire over the cliff face. But now we do see the sacred site has been taken by the Viper. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't need to set any timers. You can see it in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. 9 minutes and 48 seconds, 47 to go before this game is over, and Viper is victorious.
Exactly, and this is the type of notification that you get when your opponent has either the sacred site or it's going to be a wonder. So this is the type of notification that Viper must have gotten in the previous game. Beasty definitely knows that his opponent is now on a sacred site countdown though, so he's gonna have to start pushing up here. But as you said, that tower crawl is so dangerous and so difficult to break, because as you see, Viper already has multiple towers fortifying that keep over there. Beasty's trying to shell that castle down. That castle is taking a tremendous amount of damage, almost done. The next volley could finish it off.
Yeah, and take a look at the amount of traps that he's got out here. It's absolutely ridiculous. The siege mass is just absolutely ludicrous. He's actually got only siege out. We continue to see this unfolding throughout games. So he's got 1 nest of bees, 4 trebuchets down to 3 now, and 7 springalds out. Compare that over to his opponent, Viper, who's sitting on 10 longbows, 2 springalds, and 3 trebuchets. And you can see they're going in for a bit of a springled kiss now on the front line. It looks like the springalds of Viper getting kissed a little bit too toughly there and breaking under the pressure. But now a keep going to be going up. I think, has he? Oh my god, he's just lost the keep!
He lost it!
He lost the keep! Oh my god, he put the keep down. So for anybody wondering what the heck just happened, Beastyqt puts the keep down. It immediately takes 800 stone into that keep. And he pulls the villagers away to heal up the springalds. But the keep has already been dropped and they've tapped away at the foundations, which means that 800 stone has gone into it. And then the trebuchets see that. They shoot at the keep and immediately kill the keep because it hasn't been touched, because the villagers were pulled away onto the springalds, and he loses all the 800 stone. Terrible, terrible, terrible damage for Beastyqt.
Oh, terrible damage indeed. And the thing is that buildings under construction now also take more damage, so even if he started tapping away at that keep, he probably would have lost it. You just don't set up a keep when the opponent has 4 trebuchets in its line of sight. That's a ton of stone down the drain here for Beasty, the only castle that he could really afford. Viper is going to lose his own keep over here, and Viper can't rebuild that either, but that's a massive loss here for Beasty. If he waits a little bit with that keep, he could have gotten it up right now, and suddenly he once again would have had control over the middle. Countdown is at 7:30, but Beasty is going to have his window to neutralize that sacred site.
I can't help but watch this game, and you know, I hate to bring it up, but I got to be honest. Like, we're really seeing like Age of Siege right here, and I got to wonder, like, if the developers are watching this, are they happy with this? Are they happy with this direction? Because
the Riot.
Viper now looking to counter the pressure of the siege, forcing Beastyqt to fall back. But yeah, I guess my question is, like, if you've got a player who is consistently going for 100% siege, like, it's basically like I'm watching Terran in StarCraft 2, and he's only playing mech. I'm seeing Thors out, I'm seeing siege tanks out. I'm not seeing any Marines out. I'm not seeing any Marauders out. And is that where we want the direction of Age of Empires to go? I mean, it does make for pretty interesting games when you see these springalds coming out to kiss, but at the same time, you got to wonder, should there be a bit more infantry, a bit more cavalry coming out for these guys?
Likely. OGs remember the Age of Springald's out there. Trebuchets once again setting up against that castle. Nest of Bees unleashing hell on the villagers, and the castle is going to be taken down again.
Beastyqt losing a second keep before it even gets up, and Viper doing so much pressure with these villagers. You can see they're just chilling out in the center of the map. Viper really intent on forcing this game, or at least looking to hold this sacred site. And now Longbow's actually in position, trying to take out one of those springalds, and indeed they do. And now you can see the push beginning to come forward. And now a third keep going. Oh no, never mind. That wasn't a keep. It was a market, I think, that he put up, and it was immediately. And Viper taps out. He says, "Good game." What the heck kind of game is this? What are we watching right now, Lidakor?
I can't believe what I'm seeing out here. And I didn't think I was ever going to say that, but there might be a bit of a tilt factor over here for Viper, because this game, it really felt like he was just pretty much all in that sacred site. After that previous game with the Wonder, he went heavy on the sacred site. He started setting up his own keep as well, and that probably would have had the same fate as the keeps here for Beasty. Beasty just won a game after losing 2 keeps to Trebuchet Fire. 2 keeps that were never finished. Oh man, Viper, he was to a certain extent a little desperate to hold that sacred site. You could see that he was willing to send in 20 villagers, but I thought he's playing confident that he has a backup plan behind this one. Maybe he didn't, because it really just seemed like he was all-inning this one.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how that game unfolded, and I think it really comes down to the state of siege at the moment in Age of Empires 4. It sort of works in tandem with this concept of trench warfare that we've begun to see build up recently. The fact that you can have a keep and put outposts next to it with springled emplacements, trebuchets go behind it. How do you deal with this composition? It is incredibly difficult, because a lot of people would say, oh, you know, you're silly, Drongo, just make horsemen, just make scouts and run them all in. Well, it's not that easy, because as soon as you start investing into a stable, as soon as you start investing into a horseman, then your enemy is going to continue adding in siege and continues that push on that front. And as a result, you begin losing more and more pressure. And all of a sudden, even though you might have, 10 or 12 horsemen that's able to take up this siege, well, they're able to fall back into that trench that they've made.